Adam Meggido is here talking to us about the 50-hour improvathon.
That's right.
Improvathon, it's a good word. I think I know what it is. Did you come up with this?
No, but I think there are lots of events all over the world called improvathons in different forms.
Yep.
But this is the London annual 50-hour improvathon.
50 hours of improvisation.
Yeah, absolutely. 50 hours, and that means starting at 7 o'clock on Friday the 29th of April.
I'll be there.
And going through the night, through into Saturday, and then through Saturday night, and all the way through to 9 p.m. Sunday. So no sleep. There'll be a core group of performers who go without sleep for 50 hours.
Right. I'm laughing because you're the director.
Yeah.
And I think to myself, how do you direct improvisation when it's all sort of off the cuff?
Well, I can just call the tops of scenes. I can say character A meets character B in this particular location, and they discuss this. And the two characters get up, and there's some music playing, and the lights come up, and then they improvise the scene. So being the director is sort of nudging and calling the tops of scenes. But whatever happens in that scene, I'm going to be making a note of it, because it might be something we come back to. And between all of us, we create a story. So it's the director, but also the assistant director, the band, the musicians, the lighting operators, the sound operators.
And you all stay awake
all
for
the
50
performers.
hours.
After 30 hours of being awake, the part of the brain that senses you is too tired to function, so it falls asleep. And as a result, you get this free and exhilarating performance out of actors that you wouldn't normally access any other way. After the 30 hours, things really start to open up. After 40 hours of being awake, well, we call that the gates of hell sometimes, because you can go through all sorts of things like paranoia, hallucinations, and some very, very strange side effects indeed. But watching performers under the effects of sleep deprivation is one of the most extraordinary things, because they're accessing thoughts and ideas and working with each other in a way that you just won't see anywhere else in the world.
How did you get into improvisation? Because looking at your biography, you're obviously got the bug.
Well, I was a traditional theatre person, really, and completely lost. I just wasn't excited by what was going on in theatre. Mostly I wasn't excited by the work that I was doing. And then around 2004, 2005, I met Ken Campbell, who sadly is no longer with us. But Ken had just come back from Edmonton, Alberta in Canada, where he'd seen this group of performers called Dynasty. And they were doing their improvised soapathon, they call it out there. And he was amazed by it. He said he couldn't believe, firstly he couldn't believe that it was improvised. He was saying, it's better than the scripted stuff, he was saying. And it is. I mean, you watch these guys, they're amazing. And it is better than scripted stuff, because it's got all the vitality and freshness of improvisation.
Oh, yeah.
But it's honed because they really work their craft. So that was the beginning of me getting involved in improvisation, working with Ken. We did gigs at Shakespeare's Globe and the Royal Court where we started to improvise. And I had no idea what I was doing at all, but that was the beginning of the journey. And then 2008, we brought over Dana Anderson and some of the Dynasty players, and we staged the first London Improvathon.
And you do showstoppers as well.
Yeah.
Now that's like a musical version, I guess.
Yeah, well, and it doesn't last 50 hours.
Morning!
Morning! I just did a program. It's really good.
You did a program?
It's
Where do I begin? Kelly, you haven't even plugged it in. Don't you want to tell us just a little bit more about how your program works? Because it seems...
No,
You'd never get through 50 hours of a musical. We could try.
You probably... That's a lot of singing.
Yeah, yeah.
You probably have a lot of people that would come back to see a different musical.
I hope so. We have actually thought about how long could we go on as a musical for.
It's one big long medley.
Yeah, it would be a very long reprise. But Showstopper came, we started working on that at the same time as we were doing the improvathons and being inspired by all these wonderful international improvisers.
What's the trick to improvisation?
Well, there's no trick as such.
What are the mechanics that happen inside the actor?
Yeah, a lot of it is about working in agreement. So we're creating a reality out of nothing.
Yeah.
So whatever you come up with, I have to agree with you and move the scene forwards. And that's the first basic principle. It's a lot to do with listening, and as soon as you start improvising, you realize that most human beings don't actually know how to listen properly. We think we know how to listen, but we don't necessarily.
It's getting worse too with the speed of everything now.
Yeah.
Everyone just assumes a lot, don't they? And they're on their phone.
Yeah, absolutely. And everyone's distracted and multitasking all the time. But a very good definition of listening is listening is the willingness to be changed. And if you can go on stage and be willing to be changed, then you're halfway there already. You're listening to the other person. What they say will affect you. What they do will affect you. You will undergo change, and that's how things move forward. So those are sort of the basic principles, if you like, of improvisation. Beyond that, it's practice, and it's hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands, possibly hundreds of thousands of hours of practice.
So you really love it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's the way that you get your... How do you feel when you're doing it?
Well, there's a difference between performing and directing. It also depends what you're doing. In a show like the Improvathon, it's incredibly freeing. Anything goes. Anything can happen. You are there for the whole weekend. So you might be in it for a bit, and then you might take a break. You can jump up and be in the background. You can enter or exit at any time.
Oh, so
there's a huge freedom in that.
So you can literally think, oh, this is good. This would be fantastic.
Yeah.
I walked across the back, stood on my head, and did a...
Yeah, including even right down to the headstand. So there's a freedom in that. Whereas in Showstopper, we are delivering a 90-minute show and it has to have a tight piece of story plotting.
Right.
So there's a very, very different set of pressures
parameters.
and tensions.
Right.
And sometimes Showstopper can be quite a tense experience because you don't have the luxury to spin off and try anything you like. It has to remain honed and very, very sharp storytelling. In the Improvathon, the storytelling is wonderful, but because we have 50 hours, you can really breathe while you're telling the stories.
Yeah, have fun. Tell people who are interested in this what do they have to be there for the 50 hours? Or can they be there for 2 hours? What's the story?
Yeah, you can pop in for a 2-hour episode. So the episodes start at the odd-numbered hours. So we have 7 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 11, and then 1 a.m., 3 a.m., 5 a.m. So if you're in the clubs and you're still awake and you want to do something or you want to see something entertaining, you can come at 3 a.m., you can come at 5 a.m.
So if you've got someone at 4 a.m. in the morning who's having a really good time in the audience, I suppose you've got to work it into the show, into the actual...
Well, we often do.
Yeah.
We often do, and people do. They're out for a night out and they want to keep going, so they come and watch a bit of the Improvathon and then they fall asleep somewhere around 7 a.m. So you can come and watch any self-contained 2-hour episode. And then a lot of people got hooked, so they want to stay on for a couple more episodes, and you can get half-price
Go
tickets.
home for a kip and then come back later on.
You can do that as well, or you can buy a 50-hour pass, and you can come and watch the whole event. I think we've sold more than 50 of these already, which is the highest number of passes we've ever sold. So there's going to be a big core audience throughout the whole thing.
I don't cry. I don't cry anymore. No matter what. But if I'm strong enough to show you that I won't cry. I won't.
Then the problem is...
We've got a great mix of people.
Do you have people lining up to do this?
Yeah, I mean, I
bet you
can't.
do.
It's a horrible thing that you have to turn away so many fantastic improvisers and comedians who, unfortunately, we just can't fit everyone into the event. But we have the cast of Showstopper, the improvised musical, which is the first improv show ever to win an Olivier Award. We have
That's amazing.
thank you very much.
Yeah.
It's an amazing achievement for the group, and everyone in the group is completely thrilled. And all the Showstoppers will be part of the event.
Yep.
We also have some of the cast of Ostentatious, which is the Chortle Award-winning and superb improvised Jane Austen show. We have comedians such as Ruth Bratt and Pippa Evans and Carrie Lloyd. We also have, from overseas, we have Mark Meir and some of the Dynasty players. Mark Meir is best known as the voice of Commander Shepard in the Mass Effect gaming trilogy, which is a huge thing. The gaming world is huge. Yeah, it's a huge thing. We also have Dan Starkey from Doctor Who. He's known as recurring character Strax from Doctor Who. So it's a huge mix of players, some actors, some comedians, some improvisers, but overall it's a really fascinating group.
And you have a kids session too, if you've got people who are interested and they want to bring the kids along.
Absolutely, yes. We have a family episode at 11 a.m. on Sunday. And this is a family-friendly episode. So basically, no matter what state of sleep deprivation the cast are in, they suddenly wake up and they focus on being entertaining for kids. And that is a wonderful, wonderful thing. And actually, that family
like a big
episode,
gear change.
It is a big gear change, and it really helps the performer to suddenly focus again on what they're doing.
So last year, the theme of the Improvathon, which sort of is the setting, I guess, and where everyone's comes from, their roles and all that sort of thing. That was Tinseltown.
Yes, it was a Hollywood movie studio
Lovely.
called Sleepless Studios.
What's this year?
So this year actually commemorates the 40th anniversary of the death of Agatha Christie. So we're going full on Orient Express. We're going to do an homage to all things Agatha Christie, and we're going to spend 50 hours on the Orient Express, not just in the little cabins and compartments of that amazing train, but also we're going to go all over the world with that train. So we could be anywhere, we could end up anywhere.
It's improvisation, you can do what you like.
They turn up with their sleeping bags, and they might nod off somewhere around the early hours of Sunday morning, or freshen themselves up, and then they come back and they're exhilarated by the end because they've been on that journey with everybody.
Well, it's been lovely to meet you, Adam. I implore people, if you're at all interested, get down to the Improvathon this Friday night and tell exactly where it's being held.
So we're here in the Lost Theatre,
Yes.
which is the worst name for a theatre that I know.
Right.
The Lost Theatre is actually surprisingly easy to find.
Yes.
It's a 5-minute walk from Stockwell tube station. And you
It-
can't
it
miss it.
is, actually.
It looks like Terry Gilliam has crashed a ship into a municipal library. It's unusual and you won't miss it.
You
So
won't
it's
miss it.
called the Lost Theatre, but it's easy to find and we'll be there all weekend.
Get down, the Improvathon, enjoy the dream, and good luck with it.
Thank you very much.
Fantastic. I hope you stay awake.
Yeah, thank you.